Chapter 63, Four Keys. The battlefield was a shifting nightmare. Floating platforms of Earth drifted in slow circles around the crater, the golden sphere hanging above like a sun that had gone mad. The four pylons blazed with elemental energy, each pulsing in time with the sphere's heartbeat. The raven-helmed commander stood at the center, between the pylons, the golden runes of his reforged armor burning hotter with every second. His gaze swept over them. "Destroy them if you can," he said, voice low and certain, "but every blow you strike only feeds the eye." Brenna spat to the side. "Then we'll starve it in one go," splitting the fight. The group didn't wait for him to make the first move. Brenna charged straight for the Earth pylon, War Goat leaping between drifting platforms as she went heavy to smash the base. Nessa blurred toward the wind pylon, electric arcs trailing in her wake as she bounced between impossible footholds. Tillo's floating swords fanned out toward the water pylon, each blade spinning into a different defensive angle to fend off counterattacks. Viraza launched herself toward the flame pylon, stopping time mid-leap to land directly at its peak before unleashing a cyclone of fire and lightning. The commander moved like liquid steel, intercepting them one by one. A parry for Brenna's hammer, a gauntlet backhand to knock Nessa from her path, a flare of golden magic that forced Tillo's swords away, and a shattering shockwave that almost sent Viraza into the abyss. The first break, Brenna gritted her teeth and went heavier still, channeling all her weight into one massive downward strike. The Earth pylon cracked from base to top, the runes dimming, but as the commander spun toward her, golden light surged from the eye, trying to stitch it back together. Tillo saw his opening. "Oh, no you don't." His swords dove into the fracture, prying it open until the pylon split apart entirely, collapsing into rubble that tumbled into the crater below. One down. The eye's heartbeat doubled. The pushback. The commander roared, and the battlefield shifted. Platforms collided, then spun apart, sending shockwaves through the air. The remaining three pylons rotated to new positions, each now guarded by massive shard creatures tethered directly to the eye. Nessa darted toward the wind pylon again, her electric speed letting her dodge the guardian's slicing limbs. But every time she struck, the pieces reformed instantly. "They're tethered," she shouted. Viraza's eyes narrowed. "Then we sever the tethers first. The eyes will." As they fought, the golden sphere pulsed brighter. For an instant, the voice filled their minds again. "Break them, open me, set me free." Viraza snarled back at it. "Not a chance." Chapter 64, The Turning Point. The battlefield tilted, platforms sliding into new orbits around the crater. The remaining three pylons blazed so brightly they left after images in their eyes. The commander no longer waited for them to attack. He was moving between them in perfect sync with the shard creatures, his strikes coordinated like a general directing troops in the middle of a war. Windfall's Nessa vanished in a blur, reappearing behind the wind pylon's guardian. Her electrically charged dagger stabbed deep into the golden tether that bound the creature together. The tether snapped with a burst of light, and in the same instant, Viraza froze time. "Go," she barked. In the frozen stillness, Tillo's sword surrounded the pylon while Brenna leapt from platform to platform, hammer raised. When time resumed, the combined strikes hit like a thunderclap. The wind pylon shattered, spinning fragments into the sky before they dissolved into nothing. The eye's heartbeat quickened again. The commander's power, golden lightning arced from the eye into the commander's armor, reaving him in raw energy. His next strike against Brenna's shield threw her back 3 platforms, nearly sending her into open air. "You feel it?" he called, voice almost exhilarated. "Every key you break makes us both stronger, me and the eye." Viraza spat fire in his direction. "Enjoy it while it lasts." Water breaks. The water pylon's guardian surged forward, its form constantly shifting between crashing waves and jagged ice. Tillo danced around it, using his swords to slice through the tether just as Nessa reappeared at its side, severing the last thread with a flash of lightning. Brenna, still bruised from the commander's strike, went lead-heavy, slamming down with all her strength. The pylon cracked, but held. until Vereza hurled a fire tornado directly into the break. Steam and flame erupted, and the water pylon exploded outward in a geyser that rained down across the battlefield. 2 pylons remained. The eye stirs. The golden sphere above them shuddered, not from damage, but from anticipation. One more, then the gate opens. The commander stood between them and the last 2 pylons, energy crackling off him in violent arcs. The floating platforms began to collide and split apart, forcing the heroes into smaller and smaller spaces. Brenna tightened her grip on her hammer. We finish this now, before it's too late. Chapter 65, No Way Back. The last 2 pylons, Flame and Earth, loomed on opposite sides of the crater, their light feeding directly into the eye. The battlefield was collapsing into chaos, chunks of floating rock smashing together or spinning off into the abyss. The commander stood in the center, golden lightning coursing across his armor, his presence bending the air around him. Every step he took left cracks of light in the stone. "You've done well," he said, voice like steel over fire, "but this is the end of the game, the split." They knew they had no time to waste. Brenna and Nessa veered toward the earth pylon, the war goat leaping impossible gaps while Nessa blurred ahead to scout safe paths. Vereza and Tillo aimed for the flame pylon, Vereza slowing time just long enough to carry them across a collapsing platform. The commander moved to intercept Vereza's group first, his strikes like hammers of pure light. Tillo's floating swords met him mid-swing, clashing in a blinding display as sparks and golden arcs scattered into the void. Earth falls. At the earth pylon, Nessa flashed past its guardian, her speed enough to sever the golden tether in a single crackling stroke. Brenna went heavy, landing with such force that the entire platform dipped toward the crater. The pylon groaned, fissures racing upward, then Nessa reappeared beside her, daggers striking deep into the fractures. With one final swing, Brenna shattered it, the rubble tumbling away into nothing. The eye's heartbeat roared. The commander's desperation. With only 1 pylon left, the commander abandoned defense and went on the attack. Golden blasts erupted from his palms, forcing Vereza to dodge in split-second bursts, while Tillo kept his sword spinning in a defensive arc. "You can't stop it now," he shouted, voice cracking with the energy flowing through him. "The eye will open whether you live or not." Flame breaks. Vereza drew every spark of magic she had left, igniting a fire tornado that wrapped the flame pylon in a cyclone of heat and lightning. Tillo's swords struck again and again, widening each crack until the entire structure was glowing red-hot. Vereza froze time for the last time in the fight, and in the stillness, she placed her palm against the pylon's core and whispered, "Burn." When time resumed, the explosion was blinding. The flame pylon disintegrated, its energy ripping free in a massive wave that tore across the battlefield. The eye awakens. The moment the last pylon fell, the golden sphere convulsed, its heartbeat becoming a deafening roar. The threads of light snapped upward into it, and it began to descend toward the crater. The commander staggered, then straightened, golden fire blazing from every seam in his armor. "The gate is open," he said, almost reverently. "Now, witness what comes through." Chapter 66, The Gate. The golden sphere touched the crater floor with a soundless impact, sending ripples of light through the shattered battlefield. The air grew heavy, charged, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The commander stepped aside, head bowed in something like reverence. 4 storms, 4 keys. The seal is undone. Cracks spiderwebbed across the surface of the eye, not breaking it apart, but opening it like an egg. Blinding light spilled out, and within that radiance, something moved. The first glints, a shadow the size of a fortress unfurled from within. It had no single shape, sometimes a vast, many-limbed beast, sometimes a towering humanoid form, sometimes nothing more than a shifting storm of teeth and eyes. Its body was made of the same golden light, yet its presence felt older and far darker. The moment its gaze swept over them, every hair on their bodies stood on end. Vereza gritted her teeth. "That's what we've been freeing?" Nessa's eyes were fixed on it. That's what he's been serving. The name. The commander looked up at the thing with something close to joy. Behold, Oryx, the World Forger, the one who made this land, and the one who will remake it in his image. The creature's voice wasn't sound, but thought hammered into their skulls. This world is cracked. I will strike it anew. Brenna took a step forward, planting her hammer in the ground. You'll strike nothing while we're still breathing. The first blow. Oryx moved with impossible speed for something so massive. One arm, if it could be called that, swept across the crater, ripping entire platforms from the air and flinging them like pebbles. Vereza stopped time, grabbing Brenna's arm and yanking her clear before the stones slammed down. When the world resumed, the impact shook the mountain to its core. Tillo's floating swords darted forward to slash at one of Oryx's glowing joints, but the cuts closed instantly. Not working, he shouted. The commander turns. As Oryx advanced, the commander drew twin blades forged from the pylon fragments. Golden energy flared around him, but instead of joining Oryx's attack, he stepped toward the heroes. You think you can fight him, he said, but first you have to get through me. The golden storm behind him surged higher, Oryx's form growing sharper, more defined, and hungrier. Chapter 67. Ale from the heavens. The commander's blades clashed with Brenna's hammer, each strike ringing like a bell through the floating ruins. Behind him, Oryx loomed, a shifting colossus of golden light, every movement cracking the sky above. Nessa zipped between the two threats, striking where she could, while Tillo's swords danced in a desperate defense around Vereza as she readied another time stop. But the exhaustion was showing, their breathing ragged, their steps slower, the burn of too many wounds unhealed. The choice. Brenna's wargoat stumbled under a shockwave from Oryx's passing strike, and for a heartbeat, the dwarf felt the weight of it all pressing down. The battlefield was collapsing. The enemy was stronger with every breath. She clenched her eyes shut. She hated doing this. The good god of beer was generous, but his blessings were not meant to be wasted. This prayer could only be spoken once in a day, sometimes, not even then, and the debt it carried would be heavy. But if they fell here, there would be no debt left to carry. The prayer. Brenna dropped to one knee, hammer resting against her shoulder, and whispered words older than her clan. Pour for the weary, fill the empty, let the cask run over, and let no warrior's hand be empty when the fight still calls. The air shimmered, and then, as if the sky itself had tipped a great barrel, golden ale began to fall. It rained in slow, glistening arcs, each drop warm as sunlight. Where it struck them, wounds closed, strength returned, and the ache of fatigue burned away. Even the wargoat snorted and stamped, fresh energy surging through its limbs. The rally, Vereza laughed, spinning her staff in a blaze of renewed fire. Now that's my kind of miracle. Tillo caught a mouthful of the falling ale and grinned wide. Brenna, you're officially my second favorite person. Nessa simply nodded once, the faintest smile on her lips, before vanishing into a lightning-fast blur that slammed into the commander's flank. Striking back, with their strength restored, they pressed the attack. Vereza froze time, positioning the group for a devastating combined strike. Tillo's swords pinned the commander's blades, while Brenna went lead-heavy and hammered him back. Nessa severed a golden tether between Oryx and the commander, if only for a moment, making the colossus stagger. The battlefield rang with the sound of renewed defiance. Oryx reacts. The golden giant's voice thundered inside their skulls. Your fight is a drop in the sea. I am the tide. But for the first time, it sounded less certain. The commander wiped blood from his mouth and smiled grimly. Enjoy your breath, heroes. It will be your last before the deep.